but we also have a herpetologist, Barry Baker, and two mammalogists, and a new ornithologist as well. So we're expanding our staff a little bit because some of us are getting close to retirement, and we need to hand off.
Why would we think that?
We need to hand off our knowledge. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe. I mean, I'm so young and vital, but so everything that we do in morphology is dependent on specimens, on reference specimens, right? So that's what these things are that we've got out for display. This is, for example, a reference specimen of a golden eagle, our North American version of your wedge-tailed eagle in Australia. And so we have specimens like this. They're just like a museum. They've got tags, they've got data about where they came from, their sex, their age, and we use those to refer back when we make an identification. So in the bird collection, we've got, I think, about 12,000 specimens and,
wow.
and about 1,200 species out of the 10,000 species in the world. So it's not a huge collection like the Smithsonian or the Australian National Museum, but it's tailored to what we see in our casework. So we see a lot of birds of prey, so we've got a very good birds of prey collection. We don't see very many, little flycatchers, so we don't have so many of those because they're not as useful to us. But the result of that is we do have some pretty darn impressive things because they do tend to be traded. Any guesses to what this might be from?
Oh, that's incredible. It's huge. Is that a golden eagle?
It's a condor.
Oh,
it's
a
even
condor.
bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the California condor. There are
Ah,
two condors, and this would be a pretty good wing set for a
crazy person.
for a crazy person. That's right. Yeah, not that I'm giving you any ideas, but yeah, this is the biggest flying bird in North America, and almost as big as the Andean condor, which is the other species. But we do see things like this in casework. For example, this is something we got in casework quite a few years ago, and it's the secondary wing feather of a Andean condors from that part of the wing, the inner part of the wing. And if you've ever seen photos of those Andean condors, they have a white ring of fluffy feathers, and that's what these are from as well. But this did not come in from South America. It came into Chicago from Poland on the hat of a champion polka dancer. They have that dance in Poland. Well, if you really want to be, an impressive polka dancer, you need a big feather in your polka hat. And there's no bigger feather than a condor feather. So this was actually a South American condor that got killed, and the feathers went to Poland, and then it came back to Chicago for the World Polka Contest.
That is a weird story.
It is a weird, one of many weird stories that we have. But a few other examples I can show you.
How much of what you do is international and how much are domestic?
Well, it depends on our area of expertise. In birds, I would say it's probably about a quarter international.
Yeah, okay.
In reptiles, herps, it's probably, what do you say, Barry, 50%, 75%?
Yeah, maybe 70% international.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is, snakes, there's a lot of leathers, crocodile leather, reptile leather, and a lot of that is international.
Got it, okay.
So it's variable. We don't see a whole lot of stuff from Australia because you guys have really good laws and really good enforcement folks. So the Australian species that we usually see are probably captive reared, like cockatoos and things like that. We do see some of that, and we see some. We do see some cassowaries, but they're probably from New Guinea, even though we've got the same species in Australia. But this is
That's where all the decorative stuff
one of my
happens.
favorite understated,
Can you
necklaces.
believe that?
Really make a statement in the disco with this thing.
And these are those
Those are the
dagger-like,
these
there's
are,
the daggers, yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
those can disembowel you if you get a little too friendly.
That is bizarre,
That's
isn't
the,
it?
that's the head, and
Yeah.
it's hollow, so it's not as heavy as it looks, but
Yeah.
it's still quite impressive.
Wow.
We'll put the shells in there for
More
little
decoration.
crazy decoration. And then this, you probably have seen these before. This is a cassowary leg bone dagger.
Okay, shiv.
Yep. And
Yeah.
they actually wear it. I was actually lucky enough to be in New Guinea in November, and I was in the Asmat, the remote area of Indonesia, New Guinea, and they wear them in an armband like this. The little
Oh, I didn't
guys,
know
yeah.
that.
So they don't wear them on their belt. They wear them. They don't have belts. That's
Yeah.
one reason. But they have
Yeah.
little armbands and they have them tucked through there. They used to make these out of human bones, but that was
That's
frowned
dwindling.
upon. That was
Yeah,
frowned
yes.
upon. So now they
Yeah.
found a good substitute with these things. But there were all. I was impressed. Like almost every man in these villages had one of these daggers.
That's
on.
astonishing.
Yeah.
I liked when Steve was filming in New Guinea and he was out with a guy. First of all, it was really hard to convince the guy not to kill everything, that he just wanted to look at it.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
the guy would take aim and he'd be like, no, 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 no. But all he was wearing was a gourd. And I thought it was amazing that, first of all, the guy looked like a poster for anatomy because he was just muscle
Mhm.
and about this tall
Mhm.
and just muscle.
Yeah.
So he's running around the gourd, and at the end of the filming, Steve said, I'd like to trade you for that gourd. I want to souvenir it. And so he gave him a head torch and some batteries, and the guy wouldn't take the batteries. And Steve kept saying, you need batteries for the,
Mhm.
no, just the head torch. So I go, what did he wear after he took his gourd? And he goes, oh, he put on blue jeans. So that kind of crushed me.
Yeah.
But then Steve brought the gourd home, and we still have it on display.
Mhm.
And he
Something
told,
not right about that.
oh no, it gets better. So this guy had worn this gourd for a very, very long time.
Oh.
And so the gourd was affected by perhaps the lack of hygiene around the part that connected with the body. And Steve told one of our staff playfully that it was a New Guinean didgeridoo.
Oh, no.
And as our staff person picked up the gourd to try playing it, I screamed and threw myself between him and the gourd and probably saved his life. But that's my New Guinean culture experience. So it is fascinating, though, how so many things, everything is used.
Everything is used. So from another part of the world, this is a headdress from Brazil, or actually probably a cape, but
Yeah, because it's
a
huge.
very impressive object. And this is a favorite example of mine for the importance of having specimens, because here we have this very,
Come over closer.
Wow.
it's a very long thing, and obviously most of these feathers are blue, right? So it would be a very reasonable thought that all of these are from the same species of parrot. There's some variations in the shades of blue, but they're basically blue. But if you turn it over and look at the underside of the
Oh,
feathers,
my
you see there's a lot more
Wow.
difference.
Oh, that's astonishing.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So you see these guys that are super bright yellow, they're adjacent to these ones that are more red. So see, right there is the break, but you really can't see a difference
You
on
can't tell
top.
at all.
And so these are from blue and yellow macaws, but these are from scarlet macaws. And blue and yellow macaws are basically, they're just blue and yellow. They got no
Yeah.
red on them whatsoever.
Right.
And this guy is very dramatically different. So if you look at the whole bird, there's no similarity. But if you would do it feather by feather, it gets tricky.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And these guys that look really quite similar, they're the two red species of macaw. This is scarlet macaw, which has yellow in the wings, and this is green-winged or red and green macaw, which doesn't. But they do look quite similar.
Yeah.
But these guys have this yellow tinge on their feathers, like these, and these guys don't. So they both have red underwings, but these are darker without the yellow tinge. And
So
these have the yellow tinge, so they're scarlet. And these are actually protected at different levels under
Mhm.
international law. These are CITES 1, that international treaty, and which so very highly protected, and these are CITES 2, so a little bit less protected. So when you
Fascinating.
are making a case, you need to know which is which in order to know how to charge.
Geez, there's a
charge the
whole
violation.
lot going on there. Wow.
Yep.
That is astonishing. Wow.
So that's some bird stuff, some reptile stuff over here.
Is that some kind of funky hornbill?
Yeah, it is a hornbill.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one just because it got broken, and so you can see inside and you see how hollow it is.
Oh, wow.
So it looks, from here, it looks like how can they fly around with that heavy thing on their head? But actually, it's very, very
Oh,
light.
hollow.
Yeah, and they just use it as a sort of a species recognition and display thing. The males have it bigger than the females,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very
Fascinating.
hollow.
You know, that Robert's thing is birds. He's very.
I love, especially photographing birds,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, well, you've got so many great ones in Australia.
Oh, absolutely, very lucky.
He was holding eagles yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I was
Yeah.
And maybe kissing them.
Yeah, well, much
Oh,
more,
isn't-
much more dramatic when they're alive than when there's nothing.
Yeah, this is astonishing.
Wow.
So here's some herp stuff. So
Robert,
these
this
are
is worth photographing.
Yes,
This
yes.
is astonishing.
these are of course sea turtles, and we're kind of used to the idea that sea turtle shells get used for things, and this is an example of a
Yeah.
genuine sea turtle comb.
Yeah.
A lot of it now, of course, is plastic or a cow horn, you know, which looks quite a bit like sea turtle keratin, because it's the same basic protein as keratin. It's the material that composes the horn of the cow and the shell of a sea turtle and our hair and a rhino horn, and all of those structural things are made out of that same protein.
Yeah.
But more than that is used on sea turtles. I mean, of course, they eat the meat and the eggs, but this is sea turtle leather.
No
Yeah,
way.
so this is the leather from the flipper of obviously a
I
large.
didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So did a good guy recognize that and say, "Excuse me, I need to see your boots"? Or
Well, I don't know the story on this particular boot. Sometimes they literally are taken off of people's feet, you know,
Yeah.
at like at customs or whatever.
I
But
saw
more
s-
often we do you know, there's a commercial shipment and there's a
Got it.
interception. It's intercepted.
Good
And, Barry,
recognizing.
our herpetologist, had one case where there were, I think he had 1,500 pairs of boots that were intercepted in one shipment, and they brought him in a fully loaded semi-truck and backed it up here, and he spent, you know, weeks just going through boot after boot after boot.
So you have to make sure every boot in every shipment is what you think it is. You can't
Well-
just test a boot and then go, "Oh, dang, this is all."
Right, that's a big issue, actually. Sometimes in a big commercial shipment, you want to be able to just sample and say like, yeah, we verified that we sampled 100 boots and, you know, 50 of them were illegal, so we're just going to expand that to the shipment. But it depends on the prosecutor and the case and how serious they take it. And in
Yeah.
this case, they really wanted every boot documented, so
Got it.
so they will.
Pepper, we have a special request.
Yes.
Oh. There is a critter over here that we would like to know more about.
Oh, we'll
Never
get to,
seen one in the
oh,
wild.
that's the big conclusion.
That's the finale.
finish. That's the
That's
big
the
finish.
fireworks at the
I
end.
guarantee you've not seen that critter before. So yep, a few other things. This is a genuine cobra,
Oh, that is
Wow.
so weird.
and we actually x-rayed it, and the skull is still in there with the
No.
fangs. So, you know, if you stuck your finger in there,
That'd be a
you
bad
could still get
idea.
envenomated by a dead cobra. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The dead cobra's hoping that.
But a lot of times,
Why?
oh, why this?
Waterbird feet.
Yeah, why goose feet? Goose feet.
What?
I think it's one of those things, if you have to ask, you'll never understand.
Okay.
And if you don't have to ask, that's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And I am one of those who has to say like, why?
Why?
Yeah,
What the heck? That is crazy.
yep.
That is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Weirdest.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, animals like those, like that macaw headdress, animals die, and there is at least something beautiful that results, you know, and it's no different for the animal, but it's kind of understand it. But a lot of this stuff is so hideous, like, you know,
Yeah, I don't even
just an
get.
animal died for just some horrible piece of kitsch, you know, it somehow makes
So
it seem
weird.
worse.
When we were in Fiji, I know it wasn't comfortable for the turtles, but there was a word in Fijian that I can't remember now what it is. And we would carve the word, and it was like bad juju on the carapace. And the people would find the turtle and go, and they would be terrified.
Oh, really?
That-
To protect them?
Yes, and so Steve and I, because we would see some of the turtles in the markets were incremented live, so the meat didn't go off.
Oh my
So if you incremented them out, they would survive, but they wouldn't rot. So it was hideously cruel, and that's how we justified, because I know they can feel through their carapace, but at least they were getting caught, and people would go, "Oh my God, it's
Wow.
bad juju," and
Wow.
and it was working. We spent years back and forth in Fiji trying to kind of re-educate people that when you live next to Sizzler or McDonald's, you probably don't have to eat turtle anymore. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Those-
life is evolving,
Yeah,
and
those kind of
but it was
cultural things are
fascinating.
really hard to overcome though.
But something
Yeah.
that simple
Mhm.
spoke to the people.
Yeah.
It was like the
Yeah.
devil is in this turtle.
Mhm.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked.
Cool.
It was interesting. That's weird.
Yeah,
What
well,
the heck?
there's a lot of snake wine that's sold in Southeast Asia and China, and it's for medicinal purposes. And you can see this is right. It's got the usage right there. It's good for rheumatism, lumbago, and sweat of limbs. We all know how uncomfortable that can be, right?
Yeah.
So take twice a day, each a small cup before meal, and no more sweat of limbs.
So wouldn't that just make you horrifically ill?
One would think. So there's two kinds of snakes in there, and there's this root, which I'm not sure what it is, and some beans. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But this snake, you'd think is a cobra, right? Because it's got the hood spread open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's got a picture of a cobra on the
Yeah.
front, and I'm sure they can charge more money based on the belief that it is a cobra, but in fact, it's not a cobra. It's a water snake that has sort of a large, sort of a proto hood, but
Yeah.
not nearly as big as a cobra. But they've actually artificially
Made
spread
yeah,
it
spread
to
it
make
out.
it look more like
Oh.
a cobra. So it's
Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird how they do that thing where they bleed them and then make a juice out of it? So you drink that and then you're all powerful and
mhm,
God, they do some weird
they
things.
do some weird things.
That is the weirdest thing. That and the duck feet are the weirdest things I've ever seen. Real specialty of Vietnam. Snake wine. Oh, that is so gross.
It's got a bite to it.
Ah.
That's the first time I ever said that.
Polite laughter ensued. So is that some kind of iguana or something?
Yeah, it's an iguana foot. A stuffed,
monitor?
Yeah, I think it's an
Is
iguana.
it monitor?
Oh,
lizard?
Varanus, yeah, monitor
Yeah.
lizard, yeah. Yep, keychain, another hideous thing.
Ugh.
Nancy, something like that and think it was legitimate.
Well,
You know,
that-
Carolina Biological Supply.
Well, it
It's
is
all
actually.
licensee and-
Yeah, no, that's probably legal. It's there as just sort of one of our reference specimens. Yeah.
Imagine doing that specimen.
Yeah.
That'd be-
Yep. A lot of
And-
fine, a lot of
and-
fine work there.
How do you do that because the domestids would eat the bone?
Well, if you really,
Guard it?
if you're very good about taking it out just at the right time, but I don't know. I mean, they could have also done it with
Chemicals?
boiling and chemicals.
Yeah. Geez, that's
But those are very fine bones.
that
so,
is an epic process.
Yeah.
What is it? We don't know.
It doesn't specify.
Yeah,
Just
it might-
snake skillet.
North Carolina? I don't know.
Do you know what kind of a snake that is, Barry?
No.
Very quick.
I haven't been able to figure it out. I think it's a colubrid snake of some type, not
Mhm.
a
Huh.
snake, but I'm not sure which one. And they didn't advertise it in their catalog. They don't say which species it is.
Do you think they clean that with their mestids or with?
In part, they do use chemicals to process them as well.
Mhm.
So they have this whole facility for cleaning and preparing specimens for educational purposes.
That is a
classes and things like that.
fiddly job there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we should introduce everybody who's hanging back
Sorry.
and just
Sorry about that.
enjoying the show.